us on Season 3, Episode 44, where we watched Love School, Season 4, Episode 1. I'm Chris Lorenz.
Robert Kitts.
I'm Harrison Hoffman.
Annabeth.
Noah Singer.
All right, guys. Dead air. Great.
We're starting strong.
The pointing was a little bit unclear.
Well, both of them looked at each other and didn't just...
I thought we were going around the room. Mixing it up.
He's always mixing it up.
You
You gotta be on
never
your
know.
toes.
All right, guys. So we got to preface the show a bit.
Yeah, you gotta cue us up.
Tee it up.
So we're in India. The show is heavily promoted as, we took those 2 weeks off. All of us were in India. And so in order to watch the show, we VPN into India and we went to voot.com to watch it.
Voot.
So it's not really available to watch.
VOOT.
Not to be confused with Woot. Some sort of Voot. So sorry, audience. I don't really know how to tell you how to watch the show.
This is a special episode.
This is a special episode for now. We definitely won't be doing this that often.
Just kick back and listen to us describe the magic of Love School.
But we do welcome all of our new Indian listeners.
That's right.
Welcome to the
That's
pod.
true.
Chris, I think you buried the lead a little bit. What network in India is this on?
Oh, it's true. I didn't change the intro. This is on MTV.
MTV India.
We've taken our love of MTV international.
Also, if you want to hear us talk about our India trip, we'll talk about it after a discussion of the show. I'll try to get that in the show notes.
Ooh.
Show notes. Yeah. So the show's real weird, right? Is that just me?
Have we said the name of the show?
Yeah, it's Love School.
Love School.
We
Love School.
reintro the show with the Harrison. Can you give us the description of the show?
Are you connected with the world 24/7 but still feel disconnected? Are you in a relationship and still feel lonely? Are you loved and alone? Love gurus Karan Kundra and Anusha Dandekar are back with the one golden rule of life: love thyself. Can the students of #LoveSchool4 keep up? From singles to forever together couples, from long-distance lovers to same-sex partners, this season is open to all. Watch all the episodes along with all the uncut, uncensored action now only on Voot. They did not sponsor this podcast.
Voot. Great website.
Does Voot have like a catchphrase we should be throwing in here?
Maybe.
Voot. Get Vooted.
What's your
I don't
Voot
know about
level?
this uncut, uncensored action.
I don't like that.
I don't
No.
know. I don't know if we saw any of that.
Yeah.
Well, there's specific
yeah.
uncut clips if we scroll down on the screen. We're all
Oh,
looking
did
at
we,
right now.
did we not
Specifically-
watch the uncut, uncensored action?
No, we did not.
Oh.
Specifically, the subtitles seem to be very censored.
Very,
Ooh,
very.
very.
They were. They would never put anything in the subtitles that was anywhere
All right,
in the
all
realm
right.
of profanity.
We'll get,
I know it's minutia, but
We'll
I'm
get-
getting there right
we'll
now.
get back to the subtitles. There's a lot to unpack in the subtitles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we generally go over the structure of the show, and I don't understand what the show is yet.
Yeah.
I think that's a big contention of everyone in the room is we're like,
Episode 1 was not a great intro to what this show is. So Chris said at the end, so at the end of the season, there's a winner of the show. We're like, what?
It doesn't make any sense how there could be a winner of this show. That I don't understand what would
No.
even happen.
so
There's no information about what's going to happen on this show.
It seems like they're assuming that people have seen previous seasons of Love School and they're familiar with the concept. But
yeah, it's definitely not a great intro at all.
It's
So-
also.
I mean,
but-
it intros all
yeah.
the characters.
Yeah, so let's go through what actually happened in this episode. So they introduce, what was it, 5 or 6 couples?
6 couples.
6 couples, and then they have these nuts intros.
Oh, yeah.
They're really produced to the max, and they're talking about where they're from and what their relationship is like, and then they introduce 10 singles, 5 women and 5 men, and then they're sitting in a chat circle, and they the singles talk about why they're single, and then the couples talk about what they think is their problem in the relationship, and then they continue to burn each other.
Oh yeah.
They play some sort of hashtag game where the singles put hashtags on the couples. It's very nuts. We'll
Which
get into
really
it.
just leads to more burning.
Yeah. Oh yeah, lots of burning, and confessionals, and then they get to this house, and
Nuts house.
they pick rooms, and like some couple kind of breaks up at the end of the episode, unclear,
And the episode ends.
and then the episode ends. So like, nothing happened, realistically.
It was a lot of chat, and there's a lot of backstory, a lot of character intros.
Yeah. So that's what happened in the show. Like,
Yep,
there isn't a whole lot to go into. I think the first thing we really need to talk about
Yes.
is what generation is this?
Are you talking about the Graham generation?
That is literally the first thing that they say in this show.
They said like 100 times.
Yeah. And then
So
it's
many times.
proceeded all the time. Now, on that note, I do think that Instagram and Facebook have this kind of weird relationship with society that's not on the positive side.
Mm-hmm.
This whole algorithmic feed to get likes and make you stay on this website forever just has bad connotations for like being happy, because you're always trying to get more likes, or like you always see people traveling, and it's like, well, you can't travel all the time. You're only seeing the best parts of people's lives, and those are the only interactions you really get. I mean, sometimes you get like the sad parts, but it's mostly happy things that are happening,
Yeah.
which is, I don't think, great for, because you can't be happy all the time. So
It's really interesting to base a reality show around this concept of like social media caused isolation, because
yeah, it's
I mean,
in the description.
yeah, like it's literally in the description. But like the crazy part about it is that like at least half the people who are on the show, the entire reason that they're even on the reality show is because they are wannabe Instagram Graham influencers or a model or like whatever. Like that's the entire reason you even come on this show.
Some of them claimed they already were.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there are definitely some people who like we have 400,000 followers or whatever, but like, yeah, it's just it's really strange. It's very strange.
Yeah, and a lot of them met on social media. That is discussed in great detail.
Yeah.
A lot of their problems are because of social media.
There's definitely some minutia around meeting on social media that we'll get
yeah,
into.
yeah, a lot of new apps we learned about
Wait, there was only one couple.
that met on social media.
Yeah, the couple that met on TikTok.
And there was another Facebook one.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a Facebook.
They like went to the same
Oh,
high school
right,
and they met
yeah,
on
but- yeah.
Facebook.
Right.
Yeah. So I
Come on,
mean,
Noah.
so one thing. Let's go couple by couple. I think that's probably
We getting into a couple minutia now?
couple minutia. I think
Oh,
couple
all right.
minutia. We're gonna go. I think couple and then the whole episode. I don't think it's gonna be all that useful to not do that.
Right.
And this is gonna be tough, I think, for a lot of people because they're not gonna know who we're talking about. So
Hey, we'll paint a picture in your mind. of
no,
these
I just mean
people.
the people in this room still aren't gonna know who
Oh,
we're talking about.
also yes. Can we get a cast photo up on the TV here? Something on the cast page.
I don't think there's a cast page. dude.
Okay.
We have to paint a picture with our words for the
So
listeners.
the first couple I have written down is Sunny and Manpreet.
Oh yeah,
The
So this
Australian
is
couple.
the
that's
no,
not
no,
the
no.
Australian couple.
Not
This
the
is
Australian
the
couple.
fake Gucci bag couple.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Hashtag gold digger.
Yeah. So
Oh.
in the hashtag game, we'll describe the hashtag game a bit because it's going to come up. Is that the singles had like this hashtag board, and the men came up and picked hashtags and put them on people. It didn't. It was all women, but it wasn't clear if it had to be a woman or not.
I don't think it had to be.
And then the women came up and did the same thing. And this couple got the Manpreet got messed up and gold digger. And then
Yep.
Sunny got sissy and Beauty and the Beast.
And then there was clarification. He is beauty. She is the beast.
Oh my god.
So there was like the like drama in this couple was like she asked for a Gucci bag for her birthday, and Sunny decided to get a knockoff Gucci bag. And Manpreet knew because
She can discern.
she could discern.
Mm-hmm.
One minutia detail: it was a Louis Vuitton bag.
She
It was
said they wrote Gucci in the subtitles.
They definitely. One time they wrote Gucci, one time they wrote LV. It's hard to know.
Some kind of bag.
the
Expensive bag.
subtitles.
When
I
we get to
mean,
the subtitle minutia,
Yeah.
we can talk about the subtitles now if you want. We're in the minutia segment.
man.
So, regarding with subtitle, first thing, we originally put on a different show that didn't have subtitles, and it started in English, but they're talking English and they switch to Hindi mid sentence and go back and forth. It is nuts to kind of process, and you just need the subtitles because like you don't know what language they're going to speak at any specific word in their sentence.
And like that show, it seemed like it was probably about 70% English, like 30% Hindi. So you can kind of get the gist of what's going on, but you don't really have the full picture of
Yeah. Oh, it's so upsetting. We couldn't watch that other. We tried to watch Elevator Pitch.
Wait, how do you
I
spell
love-
elevator?
Elevator.
Chris, can you
Why?
spell elevator for us?
No,
That's
not-
disappointing.
we're not going to do that because we're talking about how these people speak Hindi and English very in the same sentence. It's very weird to hear like English words peppered in and garbage in between.
To be fair, we went to India with our friend VJ, who's from India, and then all of a sudden we're in India, and he suddenly starts doing it,
Yeah, it's
and he's like
definitely very
talking to
much-
me, and then he's doing it a bit to me, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It
that
takes
happened to me
him
a few
takes him
times.
a bit to realize. To
So
switch
like
back.
it did it. In a way, was super crazy. In a way, it was like, oh, they're doing it too. I've seen this a couple of weeks ago. This is nuts.
I don't know why it's that crazy. If that's like just how people speak there.
That's just a crazy way to speak. That's all.
Well, it's crazy for us as
I just
understanders of one language to try to parse out what's happening.
yeah.
I think just to be able to switch between languages so fluidly is just very
Yeah.
interesting.
And-
Especially when the English words are Graham generation
Graham.
generation.
or hashtag sissy.
Sis.
Well, the thing is like Hindi sounds so different.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has different sounds. It has different sounds than English, so it's like it's very odd. And I'm assuming they're speaking Hindi and English. They might be speaking other languages. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Because
No,
like
we
some of
don't.
these people are definitely from different parts of India, which would be speaking like Punjabi
Or not
like-
even from India, as we'll get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Canada, Australia.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
knows?
So
So,
and,
but,
and
uh,
then sometimes the subtitles were way off from what they actually said.
For like when you would hear like a couple of English words peppered in there, those English words would not appear in the subtitles, and
Yeah.
it's very disorienting.
My favorite part of that was one of the singles is a self-described rapper, and treated everyone to a little rap sample and included words like Eiffel Tower, and that definitely was not in the
You mean Mukta?
Mukta. Also said
Mukta.
sports car, and none of that was in the subtitles. So
Nothing.
we had a theory that there was a lot of vulgarness in this rap that was also not in the subtitles.
As we were not watching the uncut version.
I don't think there's just uncut clips, guys. There's not an uncut version of the
Uncensored.
episode.
It's uncut, uncensored action.
yeah.
See, that implies
those are
that,
different clips, people. They're
but that
not.
implies that the normal episode,
No,
there's
It's
a
cut,
censor.
censored action.
It's cut and censored.
Cut and censored.
you
It's neat to-
people.
so
Look,
Some kind of
I'm
clean
gonna scroll
in
down this
contrast
page.
to, you know,
Look at that.
This is the uncut action.
Uncut action, man.
So you
That just sounds wrong.
so you can watch the uncut footage.
I think it'll be
Unseen.
bad radio
Unseen
if we just start
Undecca.
clicking on these.
Yeah, I'm not clicking anyone, but like
So
Back to business.
So India has a lot of British influence from the former colonial stuff. Do you
Yes.
think India has when we watch British reality shows, it's a constant theme of, oh wow, there's just naked people uncensored on this show. Do you think that happens in Indian reality shows when you watch uncut, uncensored?
100% not. Porn's not allowed in India.
It's not porn, it's tasteful.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's true.
mean, have you seen what was that show?
Naked Attraction?
Naked Attraction.
I have, let me tell you.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
I don't know. I guess not.
I'm going to take a quick stroll into Internet Corner just to actually give some context on what goes on in the show. It actually is a game, and it starts to proceed like a normal reality show where there's competitions, people get saved, and people get eliminated, and then there's a
How do they get
final couple.
eliminated?
Who's getting saved and eliminated?
Do you compete when you're a couple? Are you one group competing together, or can they individually get broken up?
It appears that couples are kicked off week to week, or at least that's on Wikipedia. In that there's different eliminations. It's not clear what the competitions are.
So let me summarize. Noah has nothing.
What are you talking? There's
I s-
competition. It wasn't even clear in the beginning if there were competitions.
I said that there was a winner. So I was also on the Wikipedia, and I also said there was a winner. Like Noah, like the thing is, there's 6 couples, but there's like 20 episodes.
Can a single win?
So-
20 episodes.
So like they're not like kicked off.
It's some kind of like Big Brother. This is on 5 days a week situation.
I don't know. It might be.
There are too many people on this show. I'm gonna come out and say it. There are too many people on this show for sure.
Yeah.
So
I think they should not all be introduced in episode 1. They gotta cold open, dive us into a game, and we'll learn about them.
Is there
Yeah.
another show we need to start bringing into this conversation of some similarities?
Maybe we're gonna have
Well-
to do a deep dive later.
I want to go back to the Internet Corner for a second here. So
Yes.
like
Yeah.
Back in.
season 3. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
3.
Season 3. The first couple says they finished episode 3. So they were kicked out of episode 3. Then there was a couple that episode 7, episode 9, episode 17. Then like the winner was kicked out episode 21.
Mm.
They're
but, like-
kicked out.
It says finish. I
Well-
don't know what that
No,
means.
because you have to go. I'm on the page. So the winners were singles. No couple won.
Okay, yeah.
There were 2 singles that won season 3. But yeah, the Wikipedia page.
What do you
just-
win? What are the stakes?
No clue.
You win true love.
What does
That's
it
what
say
you
about
win.
love?
Maybe we're
That
the
no
real
couple
winners.
wins.
Right.
You
What I
win
think
a
is
lot of
fascinating.
Instagram followers.
You get a lot. What's fascinating, in season 1 and season 2, in the Wikipedia notes, proven fake couples for a reason of being eliminated.
Has this
What?
happened multiple times on the show?
Multiple times, multiple seasons.
That's great, man. They're really bad at vetting the people for the show.
Yeah, like there's always some good drama that's going on when they out the fake couple.
Do you think that they are willing, that they're knowingly casting fake couples with the evidence to out them on the show
That'd be a good
as
producer.
fake couples?
Oh, that'd be good.
That's diabolical.
Well, there's a couple on this season we were watching that is no longer a couple. Like these 2 people are introduced as singles, and you find out that they were dating like 1 month before.
Oh,
Should we
right.
talk about
So-
that is Roomies, right?
Brought in some X on the beach flavor.
Never-
That was
No.
the
Roomies
guy.
is the
The guy
Australian
was
guy.
harsh.
Yeah, that was the ones that broke up at the end.
No,
right?
she's talking about
No.
different couple.
No. The 2 singles that came on,
Oh,
and then we find
those
out that like a
people,
month
yeah, I
ago
know.
they were dating. So presumably, maybe they were going to be on here as a couple.
Yeah, okay.
It's they introed that really well, where they just introed her.
yeah.
And they're like, when's your last relationship? She's like, oh, I broke up a month ago. It's like, you didn't mention the guy you broke up with is right there.
Then they made them stand next to each other.
Yeah, they made them rearrange so they were standing next to each other.
It was pretty nuts.
Yeah.
And then it was like, the guy was like, "Yeah, she never got me." She and then I forget what the woman said. That reason why they broke up. Oh, because he couldn't handle her ambition. Ambition was always getting in the way. Is the reason they broke up. I would love to have like their like so as the couples got to sit and talk to the hosts about like a specific part of their relationship, and they were getting schooled, hence the love school part.
Ooh.
And I would love to get the love school part for these 2. 'Cause,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they don't get that treatment because they're not a couple.
It's beyond repair.
I mean, I bet they rolled back at some point.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Ramiz
Yes.
and Gazelle.
Giselle.
Like getting the gazelle.
It's like Giselle Bundchen, but not Giselle Bundchen.
It's spelled with a G. I don't know.
Such a yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wrong
Sally.
letter. No, the only difference is Giselle Bundchen has an S in the middle. This girl had a Z in the middle.
Ooh, stylized.
So they're from Australia.
Yes.
which they were speaking mostly English in the confessionals. And then at some point in the middle of the show, they started speaking this Hindi English language. And I'm like, oh, so I guess it makes sense that they know the language, but it's because how could you converse with all these people?
Well, to be fair, if they only spoke English, they could still converse with the people, except they wouldn't understand when they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
Which was my
point of,
experience.
Chris, a correction. So they're from India. The girl is in school in Sydney.
Different couple.
Yeah,
Fuck.
different couple.
No.
This couple
no.
is 100% in Australia.
Oh man, I'm giving up. Damn
You
it.
got to write your own notes, dude.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
man.
Ramiz and Giselle are definitely like, we live in Australia.
That's
we're
not the
from
workout
Australia.
couple. No.
No.
Oh yeah, you're right. No,
This
you're
This
right.
is not the Mandelbaum
yeah,
couple.
you're right. Ah, shit.
But are they originally from India or originally from Australia?
It was
Unclear.
unclear. I'm going to guess they're originally from India, given how they can easily slip into the
Yeah.
Hindi
I think so,
English
too.
sentence structure.
Yeah.
But they love the burns and the shade.
Oh, man.
I feel
They're
like
in,
80% of the confessionals was them.
They're in like 50% of the episode because they're like, all the confessionals are them. Just
Like the-
burning everyone.
It feels like the format of the show is like someone gets introduced and then we cut to this couple to give us their hot take and then like immediately next couple is introduced and we're back.
Yeah,
Like
that's
there was a
great.
point early on when I was like sort of figuring it out where I thought this couple were the hosts for a second
Same.
because it just makes no sense how much of them we get.
They appear to be some kind of like official commentators for this thing.
I
They
think
just
there
keep
was a-
going back to them.
I think there was a period where they had spoken more than the hosts. By
Yeah,
the end of the episode,
definitely.
it wasn't true anymore. But like, it definitely was like every intro, we got to cut to Ramiz and Giselle and get their scorching take on this other couple.
This entire show is built on shade. Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
entire
Yeah.
show is all about just setting up situations where people could talk shit about each other.
Tearing them down.
It's crazy.
So speaking of shade,
Ah,
the hashtag this couple got was mismatch
Mm.
on
yeah.
Giselle.
Yeah.
That's not a very big time burn. That's
No.
pretty tame.
What does anyone remember what the love school talk to them was? I didn't write anything down. That's
Not really.
Hmm.
Although they asked the guy who put mismatch, and he was like, I really put it because I think she's hot.
Yeah, that's true.
Smooth.
And so I want to break him up. So that wasn't a very smooth move by him.
Not great.
Well, is that the same? So at the end of the episode,
Yes.
Yeah, it's them.
we got to talk about this. So Ramiz, sorry, was like up in the balcony of this like house that they're in, and he's like talking to Mukta,
Well,
the rapper.
He had staked out a room on the top floor because he wanted everyone to know that he was like the king of the situation, that he was above everyone else.
He's some sort of Lion King situation,
power play.
some sort of power play. Yeah,
It's like a minute in and everybody's picking rooms and
Yeah.
he knows what he wants.
yeah. And so Mukta is like just walking through, and Ramiz is like, "Hey, why don't you stay in our room?" And it's very weird because it's just like a double bed in there, like a queen bed.
I don't think it was a queen bed. Double bed,
Double
for
bed,
sure.
double bed, whatever it is.
India
Full
bed.
full bed. There's not a definition of what the beds are in India. I mean, we can talk about that later, maybe. Some minutia, real life minutia. Yeah. So there's no room for three people in this room, to be clear. And they were like, somebody said, "Oh, I'll sleep on the floor. You two can take the bed." Ramiz said at some point, and
Yeah,
like,
Ramiz offered to take the floor.
yeah. So there's like some confrontation that happens here.
Well, Mukta goes up to the room, and then Giselle's like, "What is this?" And Giselle leaves the room.
Giselle.
And then that other guy takes Giselle from the room
Yeah,
to
that
like
was the-
extract her from the situation because he's like, your boyfriend's being a jerk. Like, I gotta get her out.
Yeah.
And he kind of was being a jerk. He
Oh,
basically
for
tried
sure.
to make a three-way happen within like the first 15 minutes of being at this thing. Like it was crazy. And he's been dating this girl for 9 years, and then they
9
roll up on
years.
this reality show within 15 minutes. He's trying to get a three-way going
With
It's
the
nuts.
rapper.
With the rapper.
With no input from his girlfriend.
Well, wasn't Giselle on the balcony when this was happening?
He literally propositioned her for a three-way by shouting down at like a fourth floor balcony at this girl on the ground. down.
Hey,
And then she whipped for it.
It was crazy.
She's
She
like,
was in-
sure.
Every single person behaved in like such a bamboozling manner. It was so hard to figure out what had happened.
And
my
so
God.
was the guy that whisked Giselle from the room the
Yeah.
guy that gave
Oh,
her the
yeah.
mismatch?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really into her.
He was also the guy that claims that he's been with 28 girls in the last year.
Or
He's
more.
bragging about it.
Yeah, well, he was teed up for that.
2 years. Yeah.
The host teed him up for that. Like at some point they all go around and like give their number of sexual partners or something.
No, just him.
No,
No, they're
just
guessing
No, no, no.
what his number
Oh,
is.
they were guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was very unclear
Yeah,
what
it
was
was just
happening
him.
there.
Because
Like,
he's,
I
he's a
don't-
big stud.
I mean, I
Right.
definitely thought it was rapid fire. They were going around. It's like 15, 8, 20. I'm like, man, they're really very casual about
Yeah,
this.
no, Annabeth had a yeah, because at first he wouldn't say, right? They're like, oh, how many people? He's like, I don't know, I didn't count. And they're like, oh, we're just gonna guess then. And then he finally said, okay.
Well, he just said, "Oh, it's somebody guessed 28," and he was like, "It's 20. It's close enough. Really, it's probably more than 28."
Totally fair.
Or it's way less than 28.
It's true.
Was he the single whose intro was just about him partying every day?
No.
That
Or
was,
was that the
that
other
was
guy?
a different guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really write anything about the singles because I don't have anything.
Oh, that was
really
the guy
about
with
them.
the really sad backstory,
That
wasn't
was
it?
that was
No.
the guy. Yeah.
Is it, he had the 2-color shirt on in the confessional? That was the same guy? The sad backstory? I thought that was a different guy.
All right, guys.
I definitely can't
boring.
keep
We-
any of these people
we
straight.
can't just be fucking talking like that. Like we gotta.
It was.
We all have just scattered memories
All right.
strewn across the wind.
It's about as structured as a show, so you know.
Yeah. So, any more stuff to talk about Ramiz and Giselle?
I think we hit the highlights.
Yeah.
So we've got Dev and Poojan.
Who is that?
That's the,
The
gay
boys.
couple.
Oh,
Oh.
The,
you mean
uh,
the amazing couple?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Our
It's-
first
not that there's
amazing-
not that there's a problem. Not that there's
No.
anything wrong with
So-
it.
The host was very excited. They had their first amazing couple.
Yeah.
So did she say that in English, or was that what the subtitles said?
I thought she said it in English,
She
but
might
you
have.
know, with
I
those
think it was
subtitles,
I think the
think
subtitle
so.
said amazing, but she said something different,
I
like
don't know.
fantastic couple or something. She definitely said an English word that wasn't gay.
Yeah.
So it's unclear whether they're censoring them being gay or not.
see this.
No,
this was
definitely
ear-
not. Because later in the episode, she goes on that whole empowering speech
Oh,
about
for
how
sure.
like we're so excited, like it's like love is love, like it's great that like people are openly admitting that they're gay, they're bisexual, they're lesbian, like whatever. So it doesn't seem like it's taboo for them to say on this show on MTV, but like it was a strange intro
Yeah.
to use the word
Well,
amazing.
It's also true that like when this happened was before we kind of, at least I kind of realized how unreliable the subtitles were. So it's
Yeah.
possible like the subtitles fooled me, and I wasn't paying as much attention to this as I was later in the show.
An unreliable narrator.
This is also really recent couple. Like, so they're 2.5 months.
Insane.
So it's so you meet like, and then you just interview, like go try to be on the show. Like,
Yeah,
we could-
immediately.
there's another couple
like
we
your
could talk
first
about.
date.
but-
Maybe you meet at the MTV office where they're doing like around interviews for the show, and you're like, "Oh, I'm trying to be on a show." Like, "Oh, you are me
No,
too." And
me
then you go for a
too.
drink after. Then you're like, "Oh yeah, we started dating
Well,
2.5 months ago."
We should go on this couple show.
That's literally what happened to the other couple.
No, that's not true. No,
We'll talk about.
Yeah,
We're talking about Dev and Poojan right now.
who've been
So-
dating
what-
for 2.5 months.
2.5 months.
So what's
And
the
they're-
big problem in their relationship after 2.5 months?
They can't hold hands.
Can't
One
hold
boy's embarrassed about PDA. He thinks their relationship is too fresh, and he doesn't know if Indian attitudes across the board are as accepting of their relationship as the
That
people on this show.
that seems very
Yeah.
reasonable to me.
So like I don't really follow Indian politics, but it seems like they just passed some kind of law that makes it legal to publicly be gay or to be married, or I'm not exactly sure.
It was
But
definitely implied like that.
because it's like there's like, hey, now that Title 1178's out, like everything's cool is basically what they said.
Yeah, something like that.
But like it seems like that has happened in the time between Love School season 3 and 4. So it's like the first season that they've ever had a gay couple on, I guess.
Well, and this was one of the moments for this show where like so at the beginning I thought this was definitely going to be more of an advice show and we were going to help these couples more. Like I thought the hosts were going to sort of like make that happen a little bit. But this was like a good example of that not happening at all, where this boy sort of like expresses what seems to be like a pretty reasonable like concern and like worry about his young relationship. And the hosts are just like, no, it's fine. Like be yourself, whatever. And then they immediately move on. You're like, oh, okay, well, all right.
Yeah, they didn't put much time, but actually, they mentioned like the act
yeah.
on the show. They mentioned like Act 377. So I guess that has like a meaning. So going up to give us all some background, 2018, the application of Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code to private consensual sex between men was ruled unconstitutional by India's Supreme Court, effectively decriminalizing private homosexual activity, which stemmed from the British colony rule back in the day. So definitely a big deal.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Noah.
Woo.
That was a good update.
It's great.
Anything more to talk about those two?
Yeah, so they got a hashtag.
Oh yeah, they did get a hashtag.
They got a hashtag, a power couple.
I feel
Yeah.
like I
How-
feel like that was a woman who didn't want to cause any stir and was like, let me
Yeah.
do a very thing everyone will stand behind with my hashtag. And I was
Totally.
like,
Yeah.
you wimped out, man.
Totally.
Yeah.
So this is a gay couple, right? So like when you have a gay couple in this kind of situation, you have to have, and you have singles that are like kind of competing to break them up. Maybe not entirely sure. You've got to have some people that could break this couple up, right?
Yeah, do we know
Right.
if there are any of the singles that are gay? I mean,
Well,
there's
there
maybe a
was
couple that are
a-
bisexual, right?
Yeah.
There was a
I think-
couple
Bisexual.
bisexual, but no like straight up gay singles.
Yeah.
That was
Supposed-
my impression too.
Yeah.
On
Supposed
both the men and the women's side, that was the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about our next couple. We've got Nipun and Ruhi, I believe,
Okay.
are the cat people.
Oh, the
Oh,
cat
oh.
woman.
Oh, the TikTok couple.
The
TikTok.
The TikTokers, as they call them on the show.
She has like 400 and something thousand followers on TikTok, and he has like 40,000 after a month.
Yeah,
After a
and he felt
month.
ashamed about that. The guy's killing it.
Yeah, it's so many followers. I mean, I know there's a lot of people live in India, but like it's a lot of followers.
Yeah.
But if you're in a long distance relationship with someone with 400,000, maybe getting 40,000 is not so hard.
He can definitely
Yeah.
siphon off some of those followers.
you slide to the DMs and you get a message out there, and then you just pick up those followers.
Totally. You get tagged in those pics,
I was-
those cat pics.
Oh yeah. I always get very excited when someone just says on the show, "I'm a social media influencer," like
Oh, yeah.
literally
It's always a good
verbatim. Usually, it's us throwing shade, and it's just like, "No, that's what I am." Like, oh, okay.
Usually there's like some layer of like abstraction over it, like I'm a model or something. Like, no, I'm just straight up a social media
No,
influencer.
This person is a TikToker. That's
Yeah.
who they are.
TikToker.
That's their life.
yeah.
TikTok's pretty big.
Is it bigger in India than here, or is it similar?
Yeah, might be the biggest country. Oh, I'll check.
So, what's the other insane thing? Well, there's a couple insane things to talk about with her.
Well, let's talk about their like how they know each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
Because
do
this
that.
is
This is
highly
the- this is-
relevant.
They met during the auditions for the show.
Well, in person they met, but they'd been talking for like
Yeah,
a long time.
They were long distance, and
They were
then
long
they
distance
met
for,
when
like,
they came to
years.
audition for the show.
Weren't they dating for years?
I have no idea.
You know,
That
they were
was like a
It
pretty
was,
significant.
it's very unclear.
I always got the impression that they had auditioned for the show separately, and when the first time they fly them into like the show's in a week.
No, because
no, no.
They
no,
actually met in person.
because they said in their intro package, the reason they did this show was partly to meet each other in person.
Right.
Like they were using it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that it's unclear. I think that they met at the audition for the show. I don't think they talked beforehand because that dude only has like 40,000 TikToker followers in a month. So like, where are they talking if she's a TikToker? Like,
I mean, you can be a TikToker and still have, your Facebook on the side.
yeah. I mean, but I don't know. They're
Maybe
like
they met on the gram.
The gram.
Well, their advice She said the couple, wasn't it like, yeah, you guys aren't a real couple?
You're fake.
You're fake.
You're
Pretty
fake.
much.
Like that was their advice that was given to them from the audience.
Maybe you
from
should
the
try
host?
being a real couple.
Yeah, and then they
Ooh.
again, quick move on. We're
My favorite
done.
thing was, you've been dating your profiles. Let's
Oh.
see how you date each other.
That's right. That's
Wow.
That's
Savage.
we should try to put that in the show description.
We should put that one in the show description. Maybe we can note that one.
Yeah. So the biggest thing you notice immediately about these two, we have to talk about, is that I don't know which one is the woman. The woman, she's just dressed like a cat. She has like cat ears, and her glasses have like a little like
Cat ears.
Her-
cat
She's
ear
got a
on
brand.
the ear on the glasses.
You gotta have a brand.
How
You
many
don't get-
cats do you think this person has?
You don't get to 400,000 TikTok followers without a brand.
Totally.
Strong brand.
She probably has 4 to 5 cats.
You think so?
Yeah. She's
I feel like maybe she has no cats.
but she wants to be a cat.
Yeah.
That could be.
Do you think she dresses up as a cat, like
Definitely.
full on cat?
like from Cats, like the musical,
Sure.
like that kind of cat outfit.
Do you
Boy.
think is the cat thing something that grew out of being a social media influencer, and this is like just part of her bit, or was this an organic thing that she just started doing as a social media influencer?
So she's pretty young. I feel like she just started kind of dressing like a cat and got some following on TikTok or whatever. So wherever she started, and it was like, oh, people will follow me if I do crazy cat things, and started just keep doing them.
Man,
Do you think that? So another aspect of this couple is that the woman in this relationship is by far not. I don't want to say the ugliest, but like everyone else on the show is,
But-
is much more attractive than she is.
I don't want to say
Man.
the ugliest,
No, she-
but
I guess.
But
I guess
I want to
Chris has learned
rephrase
from the sick burns.
it as everyone else in the show is much more attractive than she is.
Chris, can you say that again with an Australian accent?
I definitely cannot.
Zoom
Oh,
on.
man.
I do not do accents.
Yeah. So actually, just rounding out the TikTok information. So TikTok's actually the most popular in the United States, it seems like. And then there's a clone of it. I don't know if it's fair to call it a clone. They're all owned by ByteDance in China. And so actually, the U.S. seems like their biggest market.
okay.
Wow.
Unclear on how big they actually are in India.
I definitely saw someone on my flight out of Delhi watching someone on TikTok just in their airplane seat.
Yeah,
Like,
so
definitely
maybe they're
saw that
killing it there.
happening.
But yeah, no, they actually seem to be doing good for themselves. So good for TikTok.
Great
All right.
work, TikTok.
TikTok.
Kesha's doing God's work.
All right. Any other minutia you want to talk about with this couple? It's so
Did they get a
weird.
hashtag?
They didn't.
No.
They didn't show a hashtag. So
There
the
was
odd
something
thing about
weird,
the
yeah.
hashtags is they gave out supposedly 10 of them, but
Right.
only showed like 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple couples on the show that are there but not there.
Yeah, maybe they'll just be gone soon, so they're just not spending a lot of time
That's-
focusing on them.
So like there's one person that has been retired, one couple that's been retired on this season so far.
Oh.
So like they're in the show for a bit.
Oh boy.
Actually, well, one last thing. Did you touch on how they met when they got on the show?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, what are you doing?
I was doing my TikTok
doing
research.
research.
I was trying to keep an ear up, you know.
You know.
I guess the next couple would be Rutika and Bhavi.
Who are they?
They're the cheater Indian couple.
Oh, and then he just says that she has trust issues. That
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
Anger issues.
and anger issues.
Yes. No, she's always just angry at me, and he's like, "Yeah," and he's cheating on me.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Also, I'm also butchering these names. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We've noticed.
I'm not apologizing to you guys. I'm apologizing to the audience that's
To
listening,
the country of India.
the country of India, and the audience.
Well, that's one thing on the translation. So the subtitle said, "She's angry at me. He's not loyal."
Yeah.
So we assume that's cheating.
Well, and then when they were talking to this couple, there was some kind of crazy story about how he's messaging all these girls on Instagram and then he deletes the messages.
So she says he messages them on Instagram, he gives them his number, and then he deletes the messages from Instagram, and he thinks I don't notice.
How does she notice then?
I don't know. Maybe she's
Maybe
got his
is he
Instagram
is he
password.
doing it in front of her?
It's just like he's just sitting like whoop, delete.
Are they like sitting on the couch together watching Love School?
We were watching season 3.
And then the hosts were like, oh, damn it, I just lost it. The host said something about.
Well, they never even said something about like, yeah, if it's innocent, you'd probably not
Yeah,
deleting
yeah.
those
Don't
messages.
delete it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
like-
what I
like-
was trying to get to.
The guy was like, well, if I was trying to hide something from my girlfriend that the host, like his girlfriend sitting next to him, is like, I would definitely delete it. But if I had nothing to hide, I'm not deleting anything.
And then they were like, next couple.
Next.
That's our advice.
He's got some crazy hair. He's like popped it up.
The host?
No, the couple.
Someone said,
Everybody has crazy hair.
His
I-
hair seemed pretty nuts.
His
was
hair
this
is
was
pretty
this
nuts.
the guy that someone said their hair looked like a hairbrush or something? Didn't somebody say that about
I don't
something?
know.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
like this is a part of the show, zoomed out a little, where they just do like a brief overview of the couples, and the hosts come in with a zing. Like the couples are like outpouring kind of this problem. Instead of saying, "Oh, I hear you," that's no, the host just going like, "You're wrong. Here's how you fix it." Next,
Here comes the burn machine.
yeah,
That's how you school at love.
Schooling.
direct in your face. Next,
Class is in session,
Yeah.
Noah.
Then we've got Tanvi and Navpreet.
Yeah.
That's the gym rat couple.
This one is so funny. Their relationship
Can
is
somebody explain this relationship to me?
Here's my understanding of the relationship. They used to have a really good relationship and they're really, really happy. And then at some point this guy started going to the gym and working out. And apparently that's all that he does now and she never sees him. So things aren't so great with their relationship.
But the other thing with them is it sounded like she moved to Sydney and he's still living in India.
No, I think that they're both in Sydney.
They're
but-
both in Sydney,
But they
okay.
have like schedules where like she's a student and doing that at a certain time, then he's working and doing that at a certain time. So they don't have as much time together. And then the time that they do have, he's just at the gym.
yeah, absurd.
I missed
then-
that he was also in Sydney. That
Me
explains
too.
it.
No,
Yeah,
I
this
thought
is-
they were
it's
apart.
Unclear.
It's very unclear.
Yeah.
Then like the advice from the host on this on this one is literally just like, hey, maybe you should get a hobby too. Next. It's like
such a shutdown.
insane.
So to be clear, I'm pretty sure he's in India because she started
Okay.
off because of the time difference, which
Ah.
yeah.
That could be. It was kind of unclear from the subtitles.
There's some
Yeah,
kind
so
of problem in the gym is a big factor.
If
Yeah.
if she's in Sydney and he's in India, did he start just going to the gym all the time because she's not there anymore? He doesn't have anything else to do.
It's possible.
I don't know. There's
Nobody
a lot
knows.
to unpack about this couple.
Well, and the other gym factor is he goes to the gym instead of hanging out with her or talking to her, and now he also gets a lot of attention from the ladies.
Oh,
was brought
that's
up
right.
Right,
as,
right.
That's a
as
good
part
point.
of the issue. And wasn't this the couple where he was like she never talks to other men, right? Do you
I
guys
don't
remember
I
that?
don't remember
Yeah.
which one
Yeah.
that
It was like
was.
from the intro
sure.
package.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
they were talking about like how the problem is like now he's got all this like female attention. He's talking to these women, and she's like, "You never talk to other men, like whatever, like maybe you should talk to other men."
Right. It
She
was
was
so,
like,
it was very
I
odd.
don't want to.
Yeah, super odd. He's like, you're trying to push her out there. Like, no, go out there, test the waters.
I just remember this was the dancing couple.
Yes.
Was this the dancing
Oh,
competition?
Oh, for
Yes.
sure.
For sure.
Yes.
There was like some impromptu dancing competition in the sand with no music.
Well, one of the sexy singles is a professional dance instructor for weddings, and he calls out this girl and this couple as the hottest girl that he's into. And then he has a little tiff with the boyfriend, and he challenges him to a dance off, and they do this in the sand with no music. And the dance instructor comes out first and just puts down an incredible display.
It's really ballsy to challenge a dance instructor / choreographer to a dance off. on MTV.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do
Like thrustings. And then the other guy comes out, and he definitely came into this pretty confident because he knows like a couple breakdance moves, and he does them, but he's not as good.
Not as good.
He's also on sand. Breakdancing doesn't really work on sand.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not a great option, but it's all he's got.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, to be fair, I don't think he did terrible.
He
No.
did.
No.
He definitely didn't like embarrass himself. Like I thought it was going to be straight terrible. Like if I was in that situation, it would be a total disaster.
Yeah, but you also wouldn't make that kind of.
I definitely would not challenge that guy to a dance off.
Step up.
Step up to the streets.
He
right
also
now.
the single guy also dances with the girlfriend for a little bit, and it is massively uncomfortable just for everybody.
She does not like being touched by him. It seems like
She does not like looking at him.
not great.
Not yet.
They.
Oh.
That's really started the dance off between the two guys. Was the
Yeah.
first, and then the guy in the couple's like, I'm a better dancer than him anyway, and he's like, you think you're a
Really?
better dancer than me?
It's like what? It's like what? Can we change the format of the show right now? Okay, it's a dance off.
What if they actually kicked off, been like, dance off, we're gonna judge it, whoever loses out of the
Instant
show.
elimination.
That'd be amazing.
That would be so good.
Yeah, it is kind of. I like that audible. That was pretty. That was cool. That's something that doesn't really happen all that often.
No.
It was good,
It
but it
definitely
even
Maybe in Indian reality shows, this is a thing. It's like, oh yeah, random dance off happens all the time.
Every episode needs a dance off.
Yeah.
There's a lot more dancing. The last couple, which I didn't even really write down, to be honest, was Bave and Ridika. Or did we talk about them?
Who are they?
Any info about them at all?
Oh, we already talked about them. Sorry. Hold on. You're going to have to. There was something about Donald Trump's wall in this couple.
Let's move on.
In this last,
Yeah.
she puts up a wall.
Right.
She's like, man, I just put up this emotional wall around me. He's like Donald Trump's wall.
No, but
And this was
Yeah.
also she was like explaining like her dark past and like how she was broken up with on her anniversary and her parents got divorced on the same day, and after that she's put up this wall, and then her boyfriend was like, this is the first I'm hearing about this.
That was
She's never
crazy.
opened up about any of
He's
this.
like, she's never told me any of this.
But to clarify, the wall was she doesn't like to be touched. That was the whole thing. It wasn't an emotional wall.
Are you sure that was the same
Yeah,
I
situation?
think it was also an emotion.
There were
Well, I'm
multiple
sure it's connected, but that was no,
All
that was the
sorts
same
of
girl.
problems.
She didn't like to be
The
touched.
one that didn't
So
like to
which
be
couple
touched.
was this
That was the
again?
wall.
Yeah, but she doesn't like to be
Correction. We've
touched
already talked
because of
about all
this
the
trauma.
couples.
But
Right.
which couple is this? Because we're definitely talking about a couple we already talked about.
yeah. I don't remember.
It's
Rob,
somebody.
Rob, just list off their names and we'll tell you when you get to the one.
I don't have any of their names except for Giselle
Well, isn't
and
it just like the last
Yeah.
couple? You said that she didn't like to be touched.
It wasn't the last couple. The last couple was the dance couple. This was a couple in the middle of the lineup, but we'll never remember.
Yeah, I don't-
So we should quickly.
I tried to
move
write
on.
it down, and like I thought it was a new couple that I didn't write down. That's why it's not under anyone, and it's not because like we talked about all of them.
Right.
So I don't know.
Is there anything to talk about any of the singles that we haven't already talked about? We mentioned one's a
there is
rapper.
there is one minutia I'd like to talk about.
Okay.
Yes.
There is a single named Harsh Kular.
Harsh Kular.
Who's the guy who used to be dating the other single
I
and broke up a month before the
I have
show?
no idea what his name is.
Ooh.
That's harsh.
Harsh
Oh,
Kular.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's
Okay, I was
harsh.
like, you're asking me. I
No,
have
no,
no idea. I just thought the name Harsh.
Harsh.
Harsh is a interesting name. I do have one other comment. I guess
I used to work with a guy named Harsh,
Oh.
but his last name was not Kular.
it sounded like almost more like Killer when he said it. So
Harsh Killer.
Harsh killer's
That's what I-
coming.
How come he's not the rapper?
so in Dev and Pujan, the gay couple's real intro video, I sent it out as a snap, and it's like them just driving like near a beach, I think, and I got a comment back. Are these in India? There's no people. What's going on?
They had to shut the street down.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it in a bit, but like, there's just so many people everywhere you go.
That is true.
It's nuts that there's no one there.
But not at the love school.
Not at Love School.
MTV pays to clear those streets.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the episode. The intro,
Oh, man.
all these like 20 people. I feel like we just talked about how last week where They just intro all the people, and then you're like, well, you didn't really give us anything about the show.
Yep.
It's really annoying.
What are the stakes, though?
There's definitely some big house that supposedly shenanigans will happen at. Shenanigans already have started happening.
It
What is
definitely
it?
looks like
Is
a
there
good house.
prize?
Great question.
I don't think that we know the stakes,
We
the
don't
prize.
This could be some you the jury situation where there's actually no stakes. We don't know.
There is a winner, though.
There's a winner. Someone
There
will
is a
win.
winner.
There was a winner on you the jury, but there were no stakes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it didn't build up to it. though. Somebody got money out of that, though.
Just the pride of winning.
Yeah, maybe you get
Do
a
you-
Gucci bag.
Do you think if you were scheduled to be on You the Jury, you also got money, or did you
Yes.
just didn't get anything?
You definitely get money for being on.
No. Obviously, you get money for the episodes that they filmed,
Oh, you mean if they
but
didn't
like the
air?
episodes that they like scheduled that they didn't actually film.
You definitely still get paid for that.
Oh, that's a good. You might need a pair play contract. I don't know how that works.
All right, are we ready for ratings on this one?
I think we're ready.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, why don't you start us off?
So, I'm tempted to almost give this an incomplete because I feel like I still don't really know what this show is. I got introduced to all these people. I got kind of a sense, but like I have so many questions about this show. But I was entertained, and I am intrigued about what's going on. So I think I got to stick it in the middle of I'm kind of intrigued, but I have a lot of questions, so I'm not willing to commit to a top third. So that's I'm going in the middle.
I would question your judgment if you put this in the top. Harrison, what do you got for us?
I think I'm in a pretty similar place to Rob. Like, I mean, I thought it was interesting. I thought that a lot of the characters on the show were pretty good. I didn't love how the whole thing was built around burning people and tearing people down. It didn't just that part doesn't seem great, but like if MTV is going to do this kind of a show, it makes sense that this is how it is. So that's going to be a middle, and I probably won't watch any more of it.
Well, it's going to be difficult for you to watch more of it. So,
Yeah, for sure.
He's gonna get that Voot.com subscription.
That app.
all right, Noah, what do you got for us?
This is the worst show we've watched.
Whoa.
Oh, man,
They-
bold statement. Bold statement.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be pretty bold on that. Like, so my original worst show was the famous house people in Texas, Joanna Gaines,
Fixer upper.
Fixer Upper.
Right.
Yeah, just because there was just. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into that. But anyway, this takes a new bottom. There could be potential, but it is the show's responsibility to teach you what's happening, and we received nothing. We have no idea what's happening in the show. Even though it was like interesting to meet these people, it has to go straight at the bottom because I have no idea what this is. I just wasted an hour, and I don't even know where I'm going.
It was a bad first episode. There's no doubt.
No,
I've seen worse.
so that's why I'm tanking it.
ABC, what do you got?
This one's very tough, Chris. This is very tough.
Do
this
not
was
put
not
this
a,
in. Do not put this in the top third.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
not
Absolutely
allowing
not.
it.
Nowhere close to there.
Okay.
This is just tough because I agree with Rob that this is kind of incomplete because I feel like I have no idea what the show is or what's going on. And it wasn't a good episode. I think like I'm torn between like bottom of the middle or perhaps the bottom.
Have you put a show in the bottom?
Yeah, I put that one, the last one we watched, Opposite Worlds, is
Okay.
a clear bottom third for me. This one I think is pretty bad because I think part of it is my expectation going into it. I was intrigued by the idea of love school, and I imagined I clearly forgot it was MTV, but I imagined there was going to be more of a love doctor situation, and that there was going to be like actual advice, and there would be sort of like a goal of like people fixing their relationships. And like when the show started, like I think Harrison was like, "Oh, is this going to be the opposite of Temptation Island, or is the point to bring people together?" And then there's sort of a like that's alluded to. They're like, "You can win this show if you make like real connections. Like you gotta like be real and not fake." And then immediately after that, there's no advice. It's just really mean. The hosts are mean to them. They make them be mean to each other. It's pretty clear it's about breaking people up. Like, it's just not that good. I think that premise is like would have been interesting, but this isn't good. Not strong.
So bottom third.
Bottom third.
All right. I'm conflicted as well. I think that I think it's close to a middle third, and I think it's only reason it's close to a middle third is because it's an Indian show. I think that the different culture intrigues me, but I mean, in reality, they focus too broadly and didn't narrow down to number of people. There's too many people. The intro at once, so that really drags your show a lot because you have to intro all these people you have no idea who they are, and they didn't intro the premise. It was kind of boring, even with this cross culture thing. So it's gonna be bottom third, but it's close. It's very close. It's very close to a middle third, and it might pull itself. It could pull itself out of the bottom in more episodes, but I doubt I'm gonna watch it.
You're not gonna watch any more of this.
No. If I could put it on as a side content, maybe, but like
You could.
no. How am
They're
I
just-
supposed to understand anything that's going on here?
There are just so many other shows that do every aspect of this in a more interesting way.
Yeah. So there are, I guess, two things I still I want to talk about the show. One is they mention love a lot, which reminds me a lot of The Bachelor. Like they're definitely taking some notes from that Bachelorverse for sure.
When do they start talking about being there for the right reasons?
I don't know. Maybe they will when it gets
hope
late.
so.
When it gets later, when they're really kicking people off instead of just introing them. And then the second thing I want to talk about is this show Temptation Island. Like, is it about breaking them up?
I mean,
Is it like pseudo Temptation Island?
we haven't seen the show yet. Like, I mean, it seems like it's Temptation Island light, kind of. I mean, like the big thing with Temptation Island is that they actually split the couples up and force them to spend like a couple of months with the sexy singles. There's no like
Months?
Oh, dude, that show. They were on that show for months.
That's nuts.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah,
I
it
think
was
it's
crazy.
like 2 months.
Like yeah, it seems like it's 2 months.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah.
But like Temptation Island is a much more tight focus. Like you learn about the couples, and then most of the singles you never learn about.
Yeah. There were a couple of points in the season where they had to eliminate some of the singles, and it seemed like it was just basically to like trim down the show. And a couple of times they eliminated people that were like, "Who's that person?" And we've been watching the show all season. Like it's just crazy. Yeah.
I think that's a good transition. Do you want to do the Temptation Island talk? I think we should talk about Temptation Island.
Okay.
Yeah, after that segue, you got it.
Oh man.
Oh.
The finale of Temptation Island.
So spoilers for Temptation Island. If you're not watching this season,
we're about to spoil all of Temptation Island.
It's too bad people listening cannot see Harrison and Annabeth's eyes right now as they light up in
they're
anticipation of talking about Temptation
so
Island.
happy right now.
So do we want to start with some overall thoughts on Temptation Island? I mean, I think that I feel, especially after watching the episode last night, I feel a little bit conflicted about Temptation Island as a show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say that like I have not seen many better like
Finales?
just entire seasons of a reality show. Like I think that like as a package, like Temptation Island is an incredible reality show. I think that what especially I've come to grips with a little bit as the show has ended is that it's really kind of morally pretty questionable. Like
morally questionable? You
What?
say?
ethically questionable, morally
Unbelie-
questionable.
What? I don't believe that.
I like that it took Harrison a whole season to come to this.
I mean, it's
Like-
not. It's
my opposition for the actual show when we did the show.
Well, I think like it's obvious like going into Temptation Island that you're watching this like reality TV thing and it's like a little bit evil what they're making people do. But then it's sort of tempered at the beginning because you're kind of like, oh, like all these people signed up for it. Like they knew exactly what's going to happen here and they wanted this. And you're like, okay, like let's watch this play out. And then it's very gripping. And as the season goes on, like you realize more and more like how much of a disaster it is.
yeah.
And it becomes more and more apparent like that these are like it feels very real. It feels like these are like people's real relationships and their real lives. And then which brings us to the finale, which like in some places is like pretty upsetting to watch because like it is so real. It's very real. It's like 4 couples like mini breakups. It's like it's pretty like
Yeah,
It is
You're bearing the lead on this one.
It is the realest reality show I've ever seen. Like, I think hands, I think but that's true. And I think that the role that Mark L. Wahlberg plays in this whole situation is like pretty detestable.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he is a pretty evil character in this whole situation. He the whole time is kind of acting as this therapist type figure and encouraging them to like open up to him and talk to them, and all he's doing is feeding them back stuff that's gonna drive them farther apart and try to get them to cheat on each other and break them up. And like it is, and like just the way that he does it and like the lack of any sort of remorse or anything, it is like it is crazy to watch. Like
it's super slimy. And
it
I
is.
think like I was thinking a lot as it kind of went on about Married at First Sight, another show that I dearly love
Yeah.
and find like pretty riveting, because like the premise of that show is like you have a panel of experts, and then these people are like,
we did the show.
yeah, but they're getting into a relationship, and then they have a panel of experts who are like giving them legitimate advice and stuff. And then on Temptation Island, like Mark L. Wahlberg is pretending to do all of those things and just like leading them like astray. And you feel
Yeah.
like they have been like locked on this island, and this is the only man they can turn to for advice. And you see them listen to him, and that feels really bad.
Yeah.
So
Very
what you're-
upsetting.
So what you're saying is all these couples sign up for this thing that is morally weird, and why would you do that? And then all these singles are coming here and they're like, I'm gonna try to break these couples up, which is morally wrong, like weird,
Yeah.
and not
Well-
really clear. And then you're telling me the producers are also like, oh, let's break these couples up. So like,
Well,
why?
They have this thin veneer of what they're painting it as, which is that like this is like the way to find out like how to move forward and how to like heal your relationship and expose what's wrong, and like maybe you're gonna like
No,
get
just
this through
no.
conversations with other people who are different, who you haven't gotten to talk with. But that's like what. That's kind of what they've sold to all these. It feels like that's what they've actually sold to all these people who are on it, and all those people have bought into it. And it's like, it's just like seeing it is it's just such a lie that they're feeding them when you have this like slimy man hosting the show, just really like
You guys are making
saying
me.
terrible things to
it's
them.
wild.
You guys are making me angry just talking about it.
Oh yeah, it's like
Like
it's,
I just don't like.
Yeah.
We talked about on the pod. You listen to my opinion, but like I don't understand any part of this show. And you're telling me the producers are making this even worse is making me literally angry about it.
Wait, why is he making it like they signed up for the show?
I just don't understand why you sign up for this show, and I don't need to see these people that have weirdly signed up for this show.
Well, it's upsetting because they sign up for the show like believing this lie that the show is like meant to help them, and then you see every step of the way, like watching as a viewer, that the producers are out to get them, and it starts like, especially by the end with this finale that we'll talk about, like it feels a little bad.
I mean, like they have certainly signed all the waivers and they knew kind of what they were getting into, but like it feels like psychological abuse. Like when they're on the show, it does kind of. It's just what the situation is.
Wait, hold on.
like-
Anna, you mentioned that they sign up because they think they're going to repair the relationship.
Well, no, I mean like it's either repair or like you realize that like you shouldn't be together and you should move on. But
Wait,
like,
how do
but
they
the
re-
idea
yeah.
is to help these people.
I'm
Is what they're telling
confused.
them.
But they're signing up for a show called Temptation Island.
Yeah.
Where are they believing they're going to repair the relationship? Again, I don't watch a show.
In some cases, there's like, hey, you know, it might be either, hey, if we can both go and do this whole thing and prove to ourselves that we're both strong and our relationship is strong, then you know we're gonna go get married right after the show. It might be,
Okay.
you know,
Or it's like we've been together for like 9 years or whatever, and like I
Yeah.
haven't talked to other people.
We've
and
never
I
had
and, like,
friends of the
we're really
opposite
in
sex.
love, but like I just want to know whatever, and like maybe we're gonna come out of this and then we're gonna get married. Like that's also kind of what comes into play in the final episode, is you realize that the stakes for all of these people, like some of whom never talked about this on the show, were like, yeah, like before this we were looking at rings, and now like you're cheating on me, and you're like, ooh.
all right,
Yeah.
you're bearing
Okay.
the lead enough. I
Let
need
me-
to know what of these couples are together, which ones are not.
let's
And
get down to business here.
Can I put another bet that none of them are together?
Okay, do you want to
Yeah,
put
get
that
your
bet
bets in
down? You wanna
now.
get the bets in? Any
How-
side
how-
bets before?
How many couples are there?
There are
Four.
four couples.
Oh, I'll go with half. I'll go half.
Half and half.
Oh.
Rob,
Then I
Rob,
gotta
how much
take-
of this did you watch?
Not that much.
Okay.
But I feel strongly that Chris is wrong on 0, so I'm gonna
Okay.
go 1.
Okay.
Okay. Well, okay, so
Here
let's
we go. Couple by couple.
Let's start with Carl and Nicole. All right. So Carl and Nicole, you probably don't remember them on the show.
They were the workout couple.
They were the
They met in
the
workout
gym.
couple. At the end of the day, they come back together. They have this very weird format for the final bonfire, where basically Mark L. Wahlberg says, "Here's how it's gonna work. I'm gonna ask you, like one person. You're gonna get to talk for a minute, 2 minutes.
You just get to. It's
You
like
get to
it's like
talk.
you're gonna get to talk, and the other person has
other-
to listen.
the
They
person
can't
has-
say anything.
The other person has to listen, and then the same thing's gonna happen. The other person's gonna talk. The other
get a
person,
rebuttal.
The other person
Other
has
person
to
gets a
listen,
rebuttal.
and then you have to make a decision on if you want to leave the show with the person you came with, by yourself, or with someone else you've met on the show. And like the way at least it is set up, there is no room for additional discussion or anything between these couples.
There was
They're
no
just-
way to have a conversation.
They are
Yeah.
they are forced into this decision.
Who haven't talked to
basically.
each other for like
2 months. Yeah, 2 months. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And all that they've seen of each other for the past 2 months are these short little 30-second clips, every few days of what's going on the other island. So like there's a lot of shit to talk about. So Carl and Nicole, Carl basically comes in this and is like, hey, still feel the same way about you. I want to try to make it work and be together after this show. Nicole basically comes back in and is like, hey, I realize being on the show that our levels that our relationship is very surface level, and I learned a lot about myself, so I don't want to be with you anymore. And
Well, this was like a
Basically.
really interesting like part of the
Oh, no,
format.
oh, no,
is
sure.
Because the way it worked was like he was like, I still want to be with you, and she was like, yeah, like let's go home and we'll talk about it. Like we'll leave together. And then Mark L. Wahlberg was like, I'm getting a lot of weird body language here. It seems like there's still some stuff that you guys need to talk about it. Like, are you guys excited to be with each other? And then she breaks up with him.
yeah, so he basically pushes him over the edge at the end.
He pokes
too,
him
for
with
sure.
his like little trident. He's just like he gets him to break up, and
Yeah.
then he notches one in his little book.
So yeah,
Does he actually have a little book?
He's
be
like
so good.
one down.
Okay, so on that one, myself and Max said that they would be together at the end. That's going to be a no, big no. ABC, Chris, and James all said that they would break up. So there we go.
Woo!
That's 1 point for you
1
two.
point.
Write in your little book, Chris.
Good job, James.
Not-
Down.
Don't care.
Next, we have John and Katie. So do you want to try to describe John and Katie?
Sure, John and Katie were the ones who came into this. She has long blonde hair, and she has told us to the camera and to his face that John is not much of a
Oh,
man.
it's the southern
and she
one.
doesn't know if he is alpha enough for her, and she doesn't know if she wants to have children with him because she doesn't trust that he would be able to raise them right. She clearly has a lot of sort of father issues going on, and she cannot stop telling him about it.
Yeah.
And it is brutal. She's very mean to him.
She's terrible to him on the show. She basically ends up with this other dude on the show, and they're sleeping together, and stuff's happening. John's getting these videos, obviously.
The guy she is sleeping with, one of the sexy singles, his name is Johnny.
Johnny.
Which we never talk about on the show, but
That is weird.
for
for
another
sure.
John
Um,
who's more alpha.
A dirty John.
So they talk. She, for no reason, continues to just roast this dude. Like,
Well, so
in
first
her
they have
speech,
a
right?
first they have a normal discussion.
Sure.
He's like, I saw all these videos. I'm really hurt. Like, I can't believe you say those things about me. Like, you've seen how I am, like with your friends' babies. Like, I think I'd be a great father. And first she's pretty civil, and then she starts going off about how she doesn't think he'd be a good father. And then she literally says to him, "You make me not want to have children."
Right? Yeah, that definitely
Oh.
happened.
And it is like this is when like this whole like finale situation.
Yeah.
I think this is the moment it starts to really
Decades
really
of,
turn.
Decades
Yeah.
of therapy appointments for that dude.
Yeah.
horrible. This
It
is
was-
horrible to watch because it is just the meanest thing you could say to this man who like so clearly wants a family and like has really just been trying to prove himself to this woman, and it is brutal.
It was already clear that they were not going to go home together, that they were going to break up. She didn't
Yeah.
need to be roasting him like this on the way out the door. It was terrible.
She
Like, it
super
was
doubles
terrible.
down. It's awful.
So she cheated. He didn't cheat.
No, he also
and then
cheated.
he cheats.
Oh. So
after he sees videos of
Okay.
her cheating, he's like,
This was
he goes
predictable.
for it.
Yeah.
that was gonna happen.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
feel
oh,
like you need a different word than cheating in this scenario.
Well, she cheated. Then he assumes the relationship's over, so he just like hooks up too. So fair enough.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fair that I wouldn't quote unquote he probably would call that cheating.
I mean,
but, like,
cheating is like relative to like whatever rules you come into this show with.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, it just being in a scenario, like,
they all have different sets of rules. You can tell, like some
Hmm.
people have said, okay, it's okay if you kiss people in the show. Some people have said,
Yeah.
okay, that's not okay. Some people say, hey, you can hug or whatever, but you can't go in this person's bed.
All right.
So they all kind of have
Yeah.
these rules.
we gotta
Anyway,
okay,
so
okay,
this
we're
is
going, we're
this
going.
was this was a devastating conversation to watch. Really, really, really tough. And then Mark sends them away.
Mutual
and
breakup.
Does another little notch in the book.
Mutual
Another
breakup.
great success.
It's
what,
over.
What are we looking at in the?
We've got predicting that they would be together. Max stands alone. Then we've got breakup. ABC, James, Harrison, and Chris. So pretty good all around on the John and Katie predictions. Should we go show order? Should we go Evan and Casey, or should we save
leave
that one
Evan-
for
let's
last?
Leave Evan for last.
Okay, so we got Sherry and Javen, who actually, if there is any sort of bright spot in
Redemptive.
this horror show, like it is Sherry and Javen, and they both like pretty independently on these different sides, like seem to kind of grow and open up as people. And like one of their big things is they had never really had friends of the opposite sex because they've been dating forever, and there's kind of the situation. So like that, they kind of had their worlds opened up a little bit, and it seemed really good. So they basically came back together, and they're just like, hey, they basically both say, hey, I think that we've really grown a lot, and that we should go home and be together and work on our lives together, basically.
Yeah, this one was really incredible because this is the couple in the opening episode that we all watched together where she was just so mean to him and she was like really just put off by everything he was doing and she was like so snippy. And then when like Mark was like, this is the last time you'll see each other, then they start fighting. Like it seemed like, I think in the first episode, this seemed like definitely the worst couple. And then they just get so good over the course of the season, and they both make friends with the singles, and they're really like thinking about themselves, and like it was very sweet. And then they come back together and they see each other for the first time, and they're just so overjoyed.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Very good.
So
Very
this was
good.
the one silver lining.
And so they both say, hey, we want to go home together. And Mark L. Wahlberg is like, great. He's like, great, guys.
And the most insincere. Good job.
Yeah, he did not seem happy at his outcome on this one. So
Sometimes you cheat death.
so he asked him, he's like, hey, go and wait over here, and have a chat while like we get the car for you guys or whatever he said. So then they basically go and like sit down on this bench, and then Jaden pulls out this gigantic engagement ring and just straight proposes to her right there on the spot. There you go.
Ooh.
Sealing the deal.
And then, she accepts. And then, out of the bushes, like a little gremlin, Mark is back with champagne and 3 glasses because he's going to join them. It was so bold. The man who's been trying to ruin your life just popping on out.
champagne toast for your engagement.
I mean, he was just doing it to strengthen their relationship, right?
He really was.
So,
Oh,
he definitely
gosh.
was.
so was the ring provided by the production
It
cast?
seemed pretty clear that the ring was provided by the production people.
You can
Like, if
definitely
you
see a big brand.
There was a
when
big
he opens
brand.
the ring box, you see a big brand of that big honker diamond.
It was a huge rock. It was a big
Huge.
rock.
Do
So,
you
like-
think they get to keep it, or is Mark Wahlberg like, okay, give me that back?
Like, so-
Definitely taking it. Yeah.
Maybe this is one of the incentives coming on
I-
the show.
I
It's
think
like,
that's
hey,
it.
if you propose, then we'll
Yeah.
just give you a ring.
Yeah, it sounds like, oh, if you make it through all the way and propose, we'll give you the ring.
Totally. I can
Seems,
definitely
seems
see it.
like maybe an actual reason to be on this show.
Yeah. Okay, so that one we had predicting that they would stay together correctly, ABC and James. Very
Ooh.
good. Very good.
Does anyone? Well, I guess I'll ask.
Okay. And then we have breaking up Chris Harrison and Max. Didn't quite get that one, but they looked pretty troubled early on. I think
For sure.
I stand by that one. Now we have our favorites, Evan and Casey.
Wow.
Mr. Sunken Eyes. as
Mr.
we like-
Sunken
as we like to call
Oh
him.
boy.
How
Oh,
eyes?
gosh.
And before you get into this, how sunken are his eyes at the end of the show?
You like can't see them anymore.
It's just whole black holes.
It's like a portrait of Dorian Gray thing, right? Where over time they're just,
He sold his soul, and you can tell.
Man.
So this
I don't
was-
even know where to start with this one.
So this was the lead up to this. As we've mentioned before, Evan has met this sexy single Morgan, who now that we've finished this season, we can definitively say we never learned one fact about her.
And then
We don't know
she-
anything about
She
her.
is a real estate agent, theoretically.
Theoretically, but that's not even. We don't know if that's true. So leading up to this, he's met a sexy single. He has kissed her, and then he sleeps with her, and then he calls her his girlfriend. And in the 1 week where he has an opportunity to send a video to Casey, he does not do this. So anyway, so that's the lead up to what's happened. On Casey's side, she immediately regrets going on this show. She realizes she doesn't need a proposal from Evan. She just wants her best friend back. She has a terrible several weeks, and now she is excited to see him again and repair their relationship. So we meet at the bonfire, and we start.
she's
Well, so
trying to repair this relationship.
well, so
She-
she has said before in the show that she's like, hey, if he had sex with somebody, like it's done, it's over, and it seems like she's kind of come around to like the, okay, you know, we've been together for 7+ years, like. People make mistakes. Like, I'm going to give him one more shot and we'll try and figure this thing out. They live together, been together for 7 years, the whole situation.
They have
right?
dogs
Yeah.
together.
A whole life
The
together.
whole thing.
Yeah. So they roll up and Casey comes in first, right? Sits down and
Mark's like, "How are you feeling?"
yeah. Oh man.
The devil himself. He's like, "How's it going, Casey?
How are you feeling? Tell me how
you
you're
doing?
feeling.
How you doing?"
Uh,
She's just excited to get this over with.
Seems like it.
She needs to get off this island immediately.
It's insane.
I don't understand. Yeah, she just needs to let him go.
She definitely
So-
needs to let him go. But she doesn't. Part of it is she doesn't know the full story about what's happened. So you're like, okay, let's bring him out.
So Evan walks in, and one of the other evil parts about how they run this is Mark L. Wahlberg gets to choose who speaks first, and he knows the right person to pick to speak first in all these situations. So obviously Casey's going to be speaking first, and she basically lays out this case for like, hey, I saw this stuff you did. You're pretty much a scumbag, but you know, you're my best friend, and I want to try to fix this. And like, what do you think? Can we fix this whole thing?
Yeah.
And then
It's very impassioned. It's very tough. And then we turn to Evan, who gives one of like just the most like horribly cruel speeches.
Oh my god.
predictable.
It is just so, it's the most heartless breakup, and it just feels so real and awful. Like, you can't believe like the way he tells her about this other woman he's met and how it was like lightning, and like it's crazy. And he's like, we're done.
Yeah.
It is just, it's super heartless, and it feels like he's totally forgotten everything that's happened, that like with Casey, this woman he's been with forever. It's totally crazy. And you can see that Casey like cannot understand what he's saying to her. And then he calls her by a pet name, and she like freaks out with anger. It's just like really awful to watch.
Yeah, it was a terrible situation. He shows no remorse. He
never
basically-
apologizes. He talks about like all these like how he like broke all their rules, and he never apologizes to her at all. He doesn't apologize for breaking up with her, for like any of it. And then he's like I'm gonna leave here with someone else.
Yeah, it was so it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. She basically can't believe what's happening, and it's a horrible situation. Yeah. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen on TV.
It was really awful.
It was
You
really
guys
terrible.
feel bad now.
Feel-
I feel really
feel-
bad watching this.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't look like you feel bad.
I feel this was really awful to watch. We were
You got a
we
big
were
smile on your
freaking
face.
out.
Just for
Well,
the
I mean, I'm smiling in pain.
it's fun to recount it.
No one predicted that the show was terrible because of its morals at all. No one
Hey,
predicted that.
Hey,
All right.
No one predicted.
All right,
it.
Chris.
So yeah,
All right.
so it's done.
Well, wait. We still have some. Yeah.
we have to
Well,
go
no,
over
no,
the-
Yeah, let's go
no, no.
over
So we
the
have some, yeah.
ranking.
So Evan says I'm gonna leave with Morgan, which is the craziest of all the options to pick. And basically, Casey gets put in a car by herself. He goes on that same bench with Morgan, and they chat whatever, and they get out of there.
Who called it?
Okay, so together, Max and James, and break up ABC, Harrison, and Chris.
So did,
Which means that Annabeth has a perfect 4 for 4 record on predicting these couples.
I was hedging my bets.
Very good. Chris, excellent. You're tied for second place with James at 3. Very close. Very good. I got 2. Max got 0. The bagel. Max got none of them right.
That's
great.
insane.
Max
That's high.
Max is
That's
too
high.
much of an optimist.
Send Max to love school.
Send Max to love school. So, we think that the show's over, and then the title card comes up that says 6 months later. And we're like, this is the best, because all we've been talking about is like, we have to know what happens to these people, and it's 6 months later, and you're like, this is going to be the best thing ever. So, John and Katie, they're both still separated, and neither of them are with anybody right now. Javen and Shari are happily engaged, and
Planning a $300,000
$300,000
wedding.
wedding, big time wedding.
Jesus.
Pretty
You don't know what they
expensive wedding.
do.
That's so expensive.
Very
Yeah.
expensive wedding. Carl and Nicole are also still separated and not seeing.
She's buying a fancy new apartment in Chicago.
Yeah, saw that. And then we come to, so we see Casey, and she has dyed her hair black, and she's partying a bunch, and there's
She
a bunch
dressed
of
all
stuff
in black,
happening
too?
there.
There's a scene with her parents, and they're like, "We never wanted you to marry him."
Yeah, and she's like, man, I can't believe how much of an idiot I was. I'm so glad I'm not with that guy anymore, and all that stuff. So that seems good.
Yeah, but she still seems like she is working through a lot.
And then we go to Evan and Morgan's life together, the new life that they've built. And apparently Evan immediately moves out with Casey and moves to
Washington, D.C.
and moves in with Morgan.
Well, he
So, like,
moves in.
Oh
They move
yeah,
in together. So
Moving
there's
in
a
together.
scene of them in the kitchen together. They've got their dog.
They're cooking stuff. He's hanging out with Morgan's family. There's this whole
His-
it's a
Morgan's mom is like, "We really like you. We totally approve." It's such a strange tableau of things you see.
and then we get this treat. We get this scene.
We get this little savory nugget. The final thing we'll ever see from Temptation Island.
They are out to dinner at a restaurant, and 6 months later, after this experience, Evan gets down on one knee and fucking proposes to Morgan. Is the last thing that happens on this show, and she obviously says yes.
Horrifying.
Temptation Island
Was it the same diamond ring?
is a different diamond ring.
Oh,
it
okay.
But
seemed
it's
like.
also a honker.
yeah, big one too.
Okay, I'm kind of done talking about the show, but it was very clear at the beginning that Evan wanted to break this relationship up.
100%.
Like all of this is very predictable.
Hey,
But-
Mark L. Wahlberg got 2 engagements out of this. He was doing the
2
Lord's work.
engagements. And 3 breakups.
3 breakups, 2 engagements. That's like an all-star season. That's great.
So, Annabeth, one question for you.
Yeah.
Do you need to test your relationship?
Absolutely. I've
Season
just,
2 is casting now.
it's really hard to know if your relationship is doing okay.
Yeah.
I've realized. And there are just a lot of issues under the surface. And I think there's only one island you can go to find out the answers.
There's only one way to answer the questions.
There's
Do
only
you
one
have-
man for the job to help you find the truth within.
Marcus L. Wahlberg.
Who the hell would sign up to go on that show after watching this season?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm hoping Annabeth.
And
They definitely messed up by not finishing the casting before the end of this season, I think.
Yeah. Well, one of my theories is so Temptation Island is casting now. But we found out there's a caveat that you cannot get on it if you're married or engaged. And I think that perhaps one reason that Evan proposed is so they can't get him back.
Oh man.
Imagine he and Morgan are just
Because that would be the best if he and Morgan had to go back forever.
Oh my
You're
god.
just on the show till you propose.
Returning players.
What if he proposes to a new girl every year from Temptation Island?
It's
That'd be
possible.
great. That'd be great.
Anyway, sorry for the long-winded segment, but
So
Oh,
long.
boy, that was,
So long. That was a whole episode. We might as well name this episode Love School
slash
and
Temptation Island.
slash Temptation Island Part 2.
Hey, if you want to, that's okay.
Do you guys want to talk about India? We're like an hour and a
Yeah.
half into this podcast.
Yeah.
Right
Oh,
now.
really?
we could park
Ooh.
it till we do the next India show.
Yeah, we can
just-
keep watching them.
Once
We've
we just gotta figure out
Boo.
where to get those subtitles for elevator pitch, and then
Let's
we're good
tell
to go.
let's tell one India story, and then we can save another story for another time. Somebody have a good one.
You brought that up and you don't have one?
I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm
you're
just
the-
saying someone
You
should
gotta
share.
bring up a story now.
Oh man, India's crazy.
Hit us with an India story.
All right, I got you. So,
Okay.
So we land in Delhi, right? And there's like three things that are immediately obvious. I walk outside the airport, very polluted. Like I'm like breathing in, and I'm like, it smells like when we had the fire out here in Washington State. So like clearly polluted. And then we get in an Uber, and the driving is just nuts. It's just nuts. There's things happening all over the place. I was in a car accident kind of on the way there, like in my first Uber. And then the third thing that's very clearly obvious is there's people everywhere, just everywhere. Like it's just almost like you're in Times Square all the time. There's just so many people.
People everywhere doing whatever they want to do. Like there's just there's people doing a bunch of construction and repair on stuff. There's some people cooking food on the sidewalk. There's people doing all kinds of crazy stuff
Getting a
everywhere.
haircut.
Getting a haircut on the side of the road.
Always get a haircut on the sidewalk.
There are people just washing clothes in like a river, like a stream, and you're just like, all right, that's what's happening. There's just nuts amount of people.
Even though you go into a little shop that here probably just one person working in there. There's 4 people in there, and then to for kind of no reason, just to oh you wanna look at stuff. Well, there's all these people to help you out.
It was
Not a shortage of
it,
people.
it wasn't too bad in Delhi with that, but we went to a city called Aurangabad, and it was like we went to this restaurant that was like outside, had like 5-6 tables. There were like 8 people there, like just hanging out, kind of working, not really working. There was like 2 people. There was like 4 people cooking, and just like 6 people standing around not doing anything. It was nuts. Just like those are my first impressions of India, and like culture shock.
The interesting thing about the driving was like, so I went to Paris. I didn't drive myself in Paris, so I was like, man, when I'm in like a taxi or something, it feels like it's crazy and like it almost feels like dangerous. Delhi felt less dangerous, almost like they're doing crazier things, but they're going slower, and everyone's kind of always prepared to hit your brakes because you never know when something's just going to jump in front of you, and everyone's sort of okay with that, and so it kind of makes sense.
Like the amount of road rage we saw was like none.
Very
None.
low.
No road rage, and there's like nuts things happening, but all of it, if you start paying attention, all of it makes sense. You've got like these motorcycles, like mopeds, then you've got these like half-width cars, like that are like kind of like mopeds with like a rickshaw kind of thing behind them. Then you've got like full-width cars, and they're all on this road, and they're all just trying to like get to where they're going as fast as like not as fast as possible. But they're all like sharing the road, so like lanes don't really matter when you've got half-width cars and a lot of motorcycles. It doesn't really make sense for everyone to be in a full-width lane. So like that all kind of makes sense. And then you realize like, oh, well, everyone's only going like 15 miles an hour. So it's all just kind of like everyone's like walking, and just like everything just kind of moves.
I gotta check y'all on that road rage comment. The level of aggression is just so much higher driving there that like because beeping is just okay.
That's the thing.
But
There's
the beeping
honking,
means
but it's
things.
not aggressive honking. It's
Yeah.
hey, I'm here honking. You need to know I'm like pulling into your blind spot, and if you don't know I'm here, you might get an accident. It's like it's very unaggressive. Like I think you're totally wrong, Noah.
No,
think
I
you're
am
insane.
Oh.
No, no. There's 2 factors of reason why I think it's just elevated aggression that it never tips over. It's one is because honking is just always on. But the other thing is because there is no lanes. Like you just move to wherever you want. When you are pissed off at someone,
I mean, there
you
are
just go around them.
I mean, there are lanes. They're just more like suggestions.
Yeah. I mean, they're not abided by. Yeah, so that's like I don't think there's any opportunity because here you'd be like move, and there you just fuck. I'll just go around you.
Yeah, there's no aggression there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you're just misplacing aggression with honking. The honking serves a very
Noah's from New
It's-
York.
it's
He doesn't
aggressive.
understand
Yeah, it's not
how to do
aggressive.
honking without
It is-
being
it
aggressive. He
serves
just
a
doesn't.
purpose.
His mind can't compute this.
It is difficult to be sure. I won't
It's
stand there. It's just aggressive driving.
No, it's not. We're ignoring you. The honking serves a purpose. Like the honking is like, hey, I'm passing you, or you really need to move. Only if you
Hey,
stand.
but how is that aggressive? You need to move.
Well, it's
It's
only
not
after
even you
a
need to move.
very
It's
long
more just
time.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Like you need to know I'm here.
There's no blinkers. No one's using blinkers.
No,
No,
definitely not.
So they're just honking as a use for blinkers is really what it's about.
The other thing with the Ubers is Ubers are criminally cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I feel bad using these Ubers because you can't tip in the app either.
Yeah,
Right.
because
Just like-
tipping's not a thing there.
It's just ridiculous how like inexpensive the Ubers are, and it definitely makes you feel like Uber is a force for bad, but it's great for us because it helps us get around.
Yeah. To put
Yeah.
it in
But
a
like
context.
it just takes
Yeah.
so long to get anywhere because
Oh,
of
yeah.
the congestion and the way traffic is and just like how slow you have to go. So like we'd be in these cars for like 45 minutes and then you'd get out and like pay on Uber and it would be like $1.50.
Yeah.
It was
Dirt
it was
cheap.
totally absurd.
I think that's a factor of just the number of people. So like the more people you have, and like they have these super cheap cars
Yeah.
to like drive you around, that like finding somebody to drive the driver to drive that car is like trivial. Like anyone would do it realistically. So it's more of just a factor of the economics than like you shouldn't feel bad necessarily, because if they're not driving, they're probably not making any more money doing anything else. Whereas like here, people will choose to do it and you make good money doing it. Whereas because there's not that many people to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know if people here are making that good money doing
I
it.
mean,
but,
they'll make decent money versus, I don't know, working at McDonald's or something. And
Right.
it's more, economic. The gig economy. We're all in the gig economy.
Some
okay?
people say
it's all
gig economy
about-
is real bad though.
It's all about supply and demand, guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's
Economics.
a little.
One
of
last
our
quick nugget on the pollution. My weather app for 8 straight days said it's hazy out. Didn't matter if it was day, if it was night, what city we were in, and like the 10-day forecast has sun, cloud, different things. Current hazy, no
Always.
change.
Yeah, there was definitely days where it was like sunny, but it was so hazy you couldn't see the sun really.
Yeah.
that was nuts. All right, that was a little taste of our India talk. Maybe we'll get another India show in there.
It's a new segment.
Get your get your VPNs out. Watch the shows.
Get your VPNs out.
Chris, weren't you also considering a movie?
We're keeping
We'll
that
discuss.
under wraps
maybe.
now.
Everybody
Yeah.
apply to Temptation Island.
Yes.
Oh yeah, please
Send us your audition videos.
Please don't.
We'll help.
All of you couples out there.
All right. Well, you can find us on Twitter at whobouthesong. You can find us on Facebook.com/whobouthesong. You can email us questions and suggestions at whobouthesong@gmail.com. Please rate us on iTunes. It really helps. And we'll see you guys next time. I don't know where the mouse is.